Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Imperial Diecast. And before I begin, I want to thank you guys so much for 200 subscribers. This is awesome. That is to say, you guys are awesome, because without all you guys hitting that subscribe button, this would not have been possible. So thank you for that. And to celebrate, I've brought you a Norev in 1/18 scale. And if you appreciate exotic race cars with authentic livery, you're gonna love this one. Because this is none other than a 1/18 scale Renault Sport RS01 by Norev. So this is the first truly French supercar that I'm presenting on my channel, and it's the Renault RS01. The first time I came across this car in my life was in 2016, when I actually had the chance to see this car in real life at an auto show, where I took some pictures as well. And right from that moment on, I realized it was such a unique car that I had to get it. And I'm glad that Norev made this in diecast form as well. Now, apart from this race livery, the model also comes in two other colors. The first variant being a completely matte black version, and the second one being a police interceptor version, which is also matte black, but then it also has a couple of stripes and so on. But in my opinion, this color variant looks the best. Now, I think that this car is also available in 1/43 scale next to the 1/18 scale. However, I don't think that there is a huge price difference between the two. So you might as well get the 1/18. So let's get started with the front. So taking a look at the front of this car, the first thing you'll notice is the giant Renault badge. And I think this is done very nicely because it's a separate piece, it's not a sticker, it's chromed over, and looks very good. On the other hand, I think that the headlights could have used more detail because you can see the bulbs are molded there, but they're not painted, so the entire headlight is pretty much black and therefore not very visible. What I do like, however, is this little arrow mark here pointing to a tow hook, which is also modeled on the car. And up here on the hood, you can see that we also have a three-dimensional antenna. Very fragile. You got these 3 different air vents up front, with the one in the center in the shape of a NACA duct. There's no mesh behind there, but there are holes, so they go all the way through, which is good. We got some warning labels here. They're not stickers though, and are embossed on the car. Moving further up to the clear plastic windshield, you can see Renault Sport written on it, as well as number 01. And then we have this huge wiper blade, and I think all of this is done very nicely. And here's a look at the car's side profile. You can see the giant spoiler at the back, the very aerodynamic shape otherwise. The car has black rims, and you can see right over here and over here where latches are indicated that basically hold the trunk and the rear engine cover in place. Now, unfortunately, you can open nothing on this car, so that's the bad news. But the good news is that it's a very nice looking car. It has the authentic race livery, it has a lot of detail, and it did not cost me a lot of money. In fact, I think I only paid 40 euros for this, but then 2 weeks later I realized I could have gotten it for 35. And this was the discounted price because usually these things go for 60 euros. Still, not particularly expensive. Now let's take a look at the rims. And this is where you'll come across the biggest problem that every single one of these Renault R.S. 01s by Norev have, which is that if you look at the tire wall branding, it says Micheli instead of Michelin. So the N is missing. And this is missing on all 4 tires. And this is not just a problem with my model, but a problem with every single model Norev has made. So what they do is they give you a set of decal stickers along with this box. But the problem is that the replacement decals are not as big as the size of this sticker. So the replacement decal is about just this big. It's the same sticker, but only about this big. And so it's too small for the tire, and you cannot really stick it over this one. It's just really weird what Norev did there. But if you are willing and okay with this little issue here, I think the rest of the car is very nice. So we got these black rims, and behind them you can see a brake disc and brake caliper. Just like on a Maisto, however, the brake disc does not rotate with the wheels. But that does not matter much because the brake disc has like a circular pattern, so even if it did rotate, you would not really notice much of it. And here's a close-up of the fuel cap. You got a French flag here as well. Antenna up here. Another air intake. No grille though. Moving further onto the side of the car, here you can notice that the Michelin branding is done well. And you'll notice that the car has these side air intakes, and for that I need to explain it to you how these work. So basically what happens is that at the center of the front grille, the air is sucked in and then expelled through these extractors positioned on the hood. The negative pressure created this way increases downforce at the front of the car. And then we have these lower splitters right here and up there. And the airflow is channeled by these lower splitters into extractors positioned behind the front wheels. Running along the doors, these extractors change shape to become intercooler scoops. This provides effective cooling for the turbochargers back here. And I forgot to mention that these are 18-inch Michelin tires. Moving on to the back of the car, you can see these giant exhaust tips in a silver trim. And in the middle you can again see an arrow mark pointing to a rear tow hook, which however is not here. You can see the RS01 branding. Another Renault badge that is made out of chrome. Here's a shot of the rear diffuser. And then you can see these taillights, which basically are done in a very interesting fashion because I don't know exactly which one of these two is the taillight. Probably the one in red, and I'm not exactly sure what this silver part here is. And now we can move on to this gigantic spoiler. Now this engine bay unfortunately cannot be opened. However, what's crazy is that you can actually see through this hole into the engine. I mean, it's barely visible, but you can see that Norev did model it. It's right there, but really hard to see. The 6,800 RPM engine is basically a 3.8-liter twin-turbo V6 with 550 horsepower taken straight out of a Nissan GT-R. Now, this car's stats do not look particularly impressive because the top speed is only 300 km per hour, and 0 to 100 km per hour can be achieved in about 3 seconds. However, what makes this vehicle such an excellent track car is its downforce. The single most impressive technical feature about the Renault R.S. 01 is its aerodynamic package. Because at its top speed of 300 km per hour, Renault claims that the R.S. 01 develops 1,200 kilograms of downforce. A LaFerrari, by contrast, develops only around 300 kilograms of downforce at the same speed. So you could say that the Renault R.S. 01 has a tremendous amount of grip at high speeds. Up to 1,200 kilograms of downforce for a car that, get this, has a weight of only 1,150 kilograms. I mean, with that weight, we're in Lotus territory here. But with a much more powerful engine since it's coming from a Nissan GT-R. I mean, that's some crazy combination, isn't it? One thing I don't like about this car is that there's actually no carbon fiber anywhere. I mean, I think that this spoiler here is supposed to be made out of carbon fiber. Just the way I think that these side skirts should have some carbon fiber on them, but they don't. And even on the front splitter here, you will not see any carbon fiber, so considering the fact that even Maestos and Buragos have carbon fiber on them, this is really not so good by Norev. However, with that being said, let's move on to the interior of the car. And as I said earlier, nothing can be opened on this car, but it does have windows. And you can see that it also has this racing Lexan window with all these bolts indicating the way it's been put in place. And if we look further inside, even though the car cannot be opened, Norev did design the interior. You see that? This is barely visible in real life, like when you hold the car in front of you. But with the right lighting, you can see into the car, and they have designed a pretty nice looking cockpit. I mean, we got colored buttons everywhere, not just on the center console, but also on the steering wheel, just like on a real race car. You got the instrument cluster right there. Digital, I assume. It says N for neutral. And the entire interior of the Renault RS01 is supposed to be a carbon fiber tub. Again, Norev cut costs here and did not do any carbon fiber design. However, I appreciate their efforts in at least designing a somewhat interesting looking cockpit. Now let's check this out from the driver's side. So here we are at the driver's side, and you can see that it looks pretty cool in there. We have just one seat. And that's how it is in racing cars. And Norev has even put the sub-belt 5-point racing harness, so that's pretty nice. The car has a very low ground clearance. It sticks to the road, so that's pretty awesome. Now, while the front wheels do not swivel, the car at least does roll pretty well. And here we have a look at the under tray of the car. Nothing is carbon fiber, even though it's supposed to be. Very boring looking. It does say Norev Renault RS01, made in China, 1/18 scale. You can see these blades of the diffuser done pretty nicely. What's also nice is that the car has racing slicks, so they don't have any texture on them on purpose. And that's about it. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this review of the 1/18 scale Renault RS01 by Norev. Hope you like this 200 subscriber special, and there's definitely a lot more where this came from, so stay subscribed. This is Imperial Diecast, signing out.